Right, today we're doing a video on obviously a set of notepads on the University of Western Sydney, bringing knowledge to life. And I thought you'd like to understand the background of these post-it notes and just why we use them and how many boxes of them we've got. If in fact you're not actually interested in that, there was a secondary option of a Realistic TRC448. Now, I'm just going to take a punt and decide that you're probably more interested in the TRC448. A bit of history. Came with bracket. Came with power cord, which they're joined on these, so it has to come with power cord. Came with microphone. John Brownrigg, my mate down in Tassie, thanks buddy. This was a not going radio, and John said to me, he said, do you know anything about TRC448s? And I said, well, I know that I've got one, but it's an 18, and he said, yeah, well, I've got one that's not going. And he said, I know you wouldn't mind a 40. And I said, that's pretty much an understatement. Wouldn't mind. I would probably swap Riley, our 16-year-old, for one of these. And so he got the impression that he may have me by the proverbials. But he was very, very kind to me and sold it to me not going for about, I think it was $45, John. I can't remember. Excuse me. Anyway. Compliments to John down in Tassie, and I appreciate everything you find us, John, because sometimes you find things that we just can't find. They're really difficult, and you're pretty generous about some of the pricing too. So that's much appreciated for us poor arseholes back here trying to do this. Anyway, all right, it's been a bad, hard, difficult week to be honest, and so I decided this afternoon / tonight. I had a good mate of mine pop over from Wodonga, Steve, World Radio 231, and it was great to spend time with Steve, I must admit. Sometimes when you've had a bit of a hard few days, having some good people around you is great. But the highlight was yesterday. We had Bob, VK3 Whiskey Sugar, and Graham, VK2 Alpha Whiskey Sugar, come and give me a hand to get the big opti beam back up in the air. And I'll tell you what, mates like that, look, all of you guys, you appreciate it, because all of you had a suspicion I was going through a couple of little problems, but it's funny how give 20, what do they reckon, give it 24 hours, see how you feel about it after that. Well, that's probably a good saying. And I do love playing around with this gear. We do have a lot to get rid of. Look, I'm just going to be honest, I'm not trying to corner the market. I'm not at all. Actually, we will be buying a lot less right now and selling off a lot of the doubles, as you've heard, and the adverts, and then the controversy over the adverts. And that's okay, because I think we've even found some great understanding as to what sites are advertising sites and what sites really are discussion sites. And I think that's fair enough too. So we really want to push VK Ham and Aussie Pickers, as sites where we can, throw a bit of gear on, etc., etc. Appreciate the support from the other groups. We've really found some good middle ground on how to make that work. So anyway, much appreciated. Tom Ransley, look, I really do appreciate your understanding too. There was a few misunderstandings which were just not your fault, and it was a difficult week. That being said, my apologies, mate, and I hope we're really moving forward in the right direction now, I think. So thanks for your help with that too. Okay, so a TRC448. A lot of people confuse them with a Cobra 148 GTL, and there are similarities, but they were a very independent type of chassis, the 448. So anyone who sort of thinks it's the Communal Garden, yep, just a Uniden, and everything's the same. No, it's not. Is it way off the wall and different? No, not really. Just a matter of just knowing where a few things are and where they go and how they work. So what we had was a radio that channel switch didn't work. Transmit was about 0.6 of a watt, and receive actually on channels we could get to work. Actually looked like it had some hope. So what we've got now is full display, every channel working. As I just flick this around, as you can see, I've still got a little bit of bounce there, actually. Sorry, if I just get on here. When I go from 19 to 20, see the slowness between 20, 19, Now, what that is, and I'm just going to be honest with you, when we clean up a switch and we do the best we can with an old switch, and the more you run it around, by the way, the better they'll get. But, they can be a little bit notchy. Now, I'm sort of going through here nice and slow. Nice and slow should actually show a fault, just for little tricks for new players. And slower you go. See that? Okay, so we know consistently that little 19 to 20 is a little bit average. The more I do it, the better it gets. The less I do it, the worse it gets. It never doesn't work anymore, which is good. But, we've got them. But as you can see, it's probably not like the day it was first built, but it is working. And that is, major. Okay, we've got 0.5 of a microvolt. And today I have gone back to, and I think Peter Newman will be proud of me. I am using my old B&K Precision 2040 CB signal generator. And now, if you've never seen one of these before, go and buy one. Honestly, everyone should have one. I had one as an apprentice. Anyway, so I have been able to just put this through its paces. I'm just going to save you all the messing around. And there we go. We've obviously fed a bit more signal into this. Probably another 10 microvolts really to get it up to S9. But it's actually it's not too bad there. Instead of going back and forth 100 times, I thought I'll just give you a bit of a rough idea. Now, I've been doing a little bit of stop-starting here, as you might have picked up, but it just saves you having to put up with me wavering this camera everywhere, which I'm getting some good tips from good people. We've got some new equipment coming, thank God, and it's still, my major thing is that, the faster I can get it to YouTube, the better. So there's some cameras out there I've learned through some good mates of mine that, much better, 2.4 gig, they can just, pretty much take what, and they even have some edit functions, which is not bad. So the days of my phone are coming to an end. Now, the beep you're hearing, the tone you're hearing at the moment is off the 1040. Now, Pete, don't laugh. I've just put this up on an angle. Peter Newman has one of these as well. And these are great little devices until you have to put up with the tone. But the tone is part of the service game, of course. So I've got this radio, hello 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 3 4 5. Now we're just listening up here on this one, hello 1 2 1 2 3 4 5, and it's sounding quite good actually. When I don't muffle the microphone too much. So we have a look at our scale here. We're on the I haven't used one of these for a while. What are we on? We're on the 50 watt scale. Hello 1 2. Hello, hello, hello. It's a little bit under where it should be, to be honest. And I'm just going to have a quick look at putting it. Oh, sorry, we're on the 50. I thought I'd just double check that. I was just going to show you what the tone does. So the idea was, you took the microphone, you've got your tone settings, up above here, and oh Jesus, 2 tones there. And that's showing us about 12 watts output on the 2-tone. Now, if that tone hasn't driven you mad yet, we'll see if we can fix that. But basically, that's what you did. You put the mic on the... And we did this at Jensen Electronics as an apprentice, and because they wouldn't give me the big boys' toys when I was in my first year. So I had to unfortunately, do it the hard way. Anyway, so what we've ended up with is something I'm really proud of because, getting something with no holes and, basically bracket looking nice, don't even mind showing you underneath. And here's the call sign, KDU 4236 with his phone number 279, area code of the US 307707. Now, I can tell you now by the numbers of digits in that phone number, this is a 1970s radio. Anyway, and just in case, anyone sort of knows the history of this radio, I did put a new Radio Shack microphone on it. Whoops, and then I dropped it. So that the other one had a little bit of information, the same as that bracket does. So I thought, well, and you see, this was in the era when people did steal CB radios. You know, they pretty much, you left your truck or your car unattended for 5 minutes and someone was upside down in there undoing the brace bar and undoing the brackets and ripping it out. Now, this one obviously didn't get ripped out because it's still got its bracket. So, yeah, no, really good. But look, honestly, couldn't be happier with this. We've got it on frequency, operating around, you know, so the power it should. What did we do? Obviously, the channel selector repair was major. We had to do a lot of work to that. That wasn't just as simple as spraying it. We thought it was initially, and then we sort of found, no. Anyway, one day I'll do a video on, and I'll have a camera on a tripod and do a video on just how you repair these channel selectors. Mike from Mike's CB Radio Repairs has got some excellent videos on it. So if you want to actually see it done properly, go to Mike's. If you want to see it done by an Australian that watched Mike's video, it's sort of like watching it secondhand. But anyway, we'll do one. But yeah, look, please, Mike's CB Radio Repairs, brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And I think I've said this before, and I'll say it again. Half these repairs only get done because I plagiarise Mike's work. He just does some bloody brilliant work. So I must send him over a bottle of very, very nice wine or something one day. All right, well, look, this is the TRC448 SSB plus AM Realistic. I'm really happy I've been able to find one that's this clean to be able to show you, and this will go with the the keepers basically. And I suppose on that point, this one here, which we haven't cleaned up at all yet. This is as received, so it could use a bit of a clean up. It is an 18. It is working perfectly. But look out for that on Aussie Pickers and VK Ham sales and service, please, because we need to get rid of the double ups. And I know I carry on about this, and you hear this all the time, and I'm really sorry that we're not getting them out quite as fast as I'd like. I honestly doing my best, but I just, some hours of the day, unfortunately, some of the drugs have got me on. They just knock me out, and I'm back to sleep again, and I sometimes lose a day. It's just, anyway. Look. Let me tell you, this hobby is probably saving my life a little bit because it's giving me something to do when health is not so good. And I do enjoy it. That's when I'm not throwing radios across the room because they won't do what they should do. I tell you the truth here, I've never thrown a radio across the room. But anyway, I feel like it sometimes. Maybe that's it. Anyway, guys, thanks very much for your support. Look, a big sing out to Bob and to Graham, who came up and got my 100 kilo Opti beam back up in the air, who put up with me the entire time. You guys are great and you're true friends, and I really do appreciate it. I can't thank you enough. It's not about who didn't help, it's about who did help, and you guys helped, so really appreciate it. All the best from VK3 Charlie Mike, or Jack Daniels Whiskey 229. I actually reverted back to my old call. Had a lot of people from South Australia, Burger, it's your fault, that wanted me to go back to JDW 229. They just didn't recognise my other call. So I made the decision the other day. I said, all right, the Jack Daniels whiskey, let's have a drink, 229 is back on air. And, look, people seem to be able to understand it's me, so that's great. But of course, VK3 Charlie Mike in Victoria, VK5 Bravo Mike when I'm back home in my mum's state. So all good. 73s, thanks guys, appreciate your patience with us as we're going through a few changes, and hopefully we'll get quite a bit done this week in relation to stuff to market, stuff that I think you'll be very interested in, hopefully. Okay, 73s, VK3CM, cheers.